Andorra is a small, landlocked country in southwestern Europe, located in the eastern Pyrenees mountain range and bordered by Spain and France. With an area of 468 square kilometers, it is the sixth smallest country in Europe and also the largest of the European microstates. Andorra consists predominantly of rugged mountains, the highest being the Coma Pedrosa at 2,942 meters, and the average elevation of Andorra is 1,996 meters. These are dissected by three narrow valleys in a Y-shape that combine into one as the main stream, the Gran Valira River, leaves the country for Spain. Andorra's climate is similar to that of its neighbors' temperate climates, but its higher elevation means there is, on average, more snow in winter, lower humidity, and it is slightly cooler in summer. There are, on average, 300 days per year of sunshine. Phytogeographically, Andorra belongs to the Atlantic European province of the Circumboreal region within the Boreal Kingdom. According to the WWF, the territory of Andorra belongs to the ecoregion of Pyrenees conifer and mixed forests. Landslides and avalanches are the main natural hazards. There are frequent earthquakes below Richter magnitude 2. There is no historical record of any damaging earthquakes in Andorra, but the Andorran government has studied the possibility of a future one. Mountains. All of Andorra is mountainous, and in total, there are 65 mountain peaks. The highest mountain is Coma Pedrosa, which rises to 2,942 meters in the northwest of Andorra near the French and Spanish borders. Along the border with France, from west to east, the highest mountains are Pic de Gaba, which is the western tripoint international boundary of Andorra, France, and Spain. Pic de Catapodis, Pic de Tristana, Pic de Font Blanca in the northwest, Pic de Siga, Pic de la Serrera and Pic de Rodat in the north, and Pic de Anoia Acute, Pic de la Cabanata and Rocaemi Acute in the east. Along the border with Spain, from west to east, the highest mountains are Pic de Medicaba, Pic de Coma Pedrosa, Port de Cabas and Pic dels Llacs in the west, Pic Negri, Tor dels Soldats, and Pic de la Portaleta in the south. In the east, near where the borders of the two countries meet, lies Pic Gran Valira and Pic dels Pessins, a lake, Estany de l'Estany, and a mountain, Pic de l'Estany, lie just east of El Serrat and are accessible only by hiking trail. Lakes and rivers. Andorra is drained almost entirely by a single basin whose main river, the Gran Valira, exits the country in the south near the Spain-Andorra road border crossing. There are two main tributaries and 6 smaller open basins. These basins gave the name by which the region was traditionally known, the valleys. The Valira del Nord is the northwest tributary, flowing from near El Serrat through the settlements of Les Salines, Arons, La Cortinada, Sornas, Ordino, and La Massana, where it meets the Tristana River, and eventually through Les Escaldes where it meets the Valira d'Orient, forming the Gran Valira. The Valira d'Orient is the northeast tributary, flowing from near Grau through Soljo, Canyo, and Cam, and Les Escaldes where it meets the Madriu River and then the Valira del Nord, becoming the Gran Valira. There are also several much smaller drainage basins that span Andorra's borders with France and Spain. The most notable of these is the Pic de Mayo Basin, whose main river, the Sant Josep, flows easterly out of the country into France and is a tributary of the Ariege River. Andorra has 172 lakes, of which the largest is Estany's de Juclin near Pic de Anoia Acute in the northeast. Climate. The climate in Andorra varies greatly with elevation. The valleys have a climate that is similar to the temperate climate of Andorra's neighbors, but because of the higher elevation, winters tend to be more severe, the humidity lower, and summers slightly cooler. Regions above the alpine tree line at about 2,100 to 2,400 meters have an alpine climate and alpine tundra. Snow completely covers the northern valleys for several months. There are, on average, 300 days per year of sunshine. Average daily peak insolation varies from 1150 W per square meter in June to 280 W per square meter in December. The average annual temperature varies from 11 degrees Celsius in Sant Julià de Lòria in the south to 8 degrees Celsius in La Massana in the center, and to 2 degrees Celsius in Arcalís in the north. The average daily high and low temperatures in Escaldes and Gordony are, respectively, 28 degrees Celsius and 15 degrees Celsius in July, and 11 degrees Celsius and -2 degrees Celsius in January. Average annual precipitation is 1,071.9 millimeters for the whole country, but it varies across the country, increasing with elevation and from south to north. The driest parish is Sant Julià de Lòria in the south, and the wettest is Canio in the north. Annual precipitation can exceed 1,220 millimeters, the highest mountainous areas. The driest months tend to be January and February, and the wettest, May, June, and November. During the summer months, there are very few rainy days, but the rainfall can be very heavy because it is associated with thunderstorms. Natural hazards. Avalanches. There is a risk of avalanches from midwinter to early summer. Avalanche control methods such as snow clearing by controlled blast charges, snow nets, snow fences, deflectors, rigid barriers, and snow compaction are used in Andorra to prevent dangerous avalanches. 1996 Heron Cyl Avalanche. The 1996 Heron Cyl Avalanche was an exceptionally powerful powder snow avalanche that followed several days of very heavy snowfalls and high winds. At 1900 on the 8th of February 1996, the avalanche fell on the village of Heron Cyl, destroying and severely damaging many cars and buildings and hotels, including the Crest Hotel, the Rocky Mountain Bar, and above apartments the Asterix Bar, and little damage to 3 blocks of flats that were under construction by a Russian company and still are under construction. Evacuation of the residents and tourists in the village had been completed 1.5 hours before the avalanche, and consequently no lives were lost, but the material and economic damages were large. Afterwards, the government ordered the construction of a snow dam across the Heron Cyl Valley to stop future avalanches. The Heron Cyl Snow Dam, which is 16 meters high and 320 meters wide, cost 52 million francs and used 115,000 cubic meters of soil and 11,000 cubic meters of rock. 1970 Par de la Casa Avalanche. The 1970 Par de la Casa Avalanche was a powder snow avalanche that happened after a severe snowstorm left 2 meters of new snow atop the existing snowpack on the mountain slopes above Par de la Casa. The avalanche began at an elevation of 2,640 meters on the upper slopes of the Pic Gran Valira, accelerated down the 35-degree slope and spilled over 6 bends of the old CG2 road that winds its way down the mountain to the village of Par de la Casa, which is at 2,100 meters. It then hit the village, damaging several buildings including a dispensary and killing a nurse. In 1970, Par de la Casa had far fewer buildings than it does now, so the damage was relatively limited. In later years, as development of the ski resort continued, plans for avalanche control measures were studied, but it was not until 1985 that strong protective features including 250 meters of windbreaks and 500 meters of snow fences were installed. The new CG2 goes through the Gran Valira tunnel, thus avoiding Par de la Casa and the risk of avalanches. Landslides. Landslides are a frequent occurrence in Andorra. They have tended to follow periods of heavy rainfall. A landslide during the evening rush hour on the 25th of January 2008 deposited 4,000 cubic meters of loosely bound soil and rocks from the mountain slope above onto the main road CG3 between La Massana and Ordino, blocking it for 3 days, as well as completely covering an open-air car park and several parked cars. The only damage was to property, and nobody was injured, but the residents of a block of flats adjacent to the landslide were evacuated as the building was deemed unsafe and it remains vacant. The cause of the landslide was determined to be settlement of the earth due to inadequate ground reinforcement in the construction and excavation of the car park 30 years previously. On the 7th of July 2009, a rock landslide fell 200 meters onto the CG3 main road between La Massana and Andorra la Vella, blocking the road near the entrance to the Pont PLA tunnel for 3 hours. Protective nets on the mountainside caught most of the rockfall, but 4 cubic meters went over the nets and fell onto the road and pavement. Earthquakes. The Pyrenees and Catalonia have frequent and sometimes destructive earthquakes, the largest in recorded history being the Catalan earthquake of 1428 with an estimated magnitude of IX on the MSK scale, equivalent to 6.0 to 6.5 on the Richter magnitude scale. However, earthquakes whose epicenters are inside Andorra tend to be smaller than magnitude 2. An earthquake of magnitude 4.2 on the 5th of October 1999 in nearby Bagneres de Luchon was widely felt in Andorra, causing public alarm. The Andorran government has studied the possibility of a damaging earthquake in Andorra. Extreme points. Latitude and longitude. North base is de Font Blanca. South Conangle, Riu Runa. West, Col de Lacal. East, Riu de la Palomera, Riu Araha. Elevation maximum. Pic del Coma Pedrosa, 2,942 meters. Minimum. Confluent del Riu Runa, 840 meters. Center. Geographical center. Nearing camp, 42.54167 degrees north, 1.59750 degrees east, 42.54167, 1.59750.